Welcome to our September vlog 2024. And hello, I'm Stella, and that's Tarrant from Meeple University, where we talk about our top games of last month, which was, what was that? August? I forgot. And a few other things, and answering some of your questions throughout the videos, the posts, and so on. I'm still wearing 5 layers of clothing because it's still cold in Australia instead of 10 layers. So it has improved.
Yeah, we have hit what passes for spring. The calendar says it's spring.
Really?
Melbourne springs are pretty weird. You get like a couple of warm days and then you get punished for a week with rain and misery.
Yes, like now. If you can hear, it's raining. Anyways, this is where we share our top games mainly. And these games are coming from review copy, advanced review copies, or the things that we've been commissioned, or upcoming games which is still prototype.
Yes.
And this is new to us, so it could be old to you, but new to us.
Yes. Although they're all new this month. Maybe.
And re-jiggle 2 games there are, or 3 games that was like a different version of the previous game that you already know. That's exciting.
That is true.
At least for me anyway. And first I want to show you this. This is not from YouTube, by the way. This is from my friend, or our friend Brandon, who actually handmade this. It's very cool. And this is a presented to Meeple University for passing 33,000 subscribers. So unlike YouTube, who you need at least 500,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers or something like that, which I don't know if I'm going to achieve or not in this lifetime. But 33,000 is pretty good. So thank you, Brandon, for doing this.
Yes. Made of resin.
It's very good. I will put this there, and then that's kind of like blend in with the blue colors. So there you go. Now it lives there.
Yes.
Some of you have asked me how many costumes I actually have because of my short and sweet videos. How many, Tarrant?
Many.
I think you wouldn't believe it if I say they just belong to one person. I started off with like just hanging in the, the portable hanger, whatever. Like the trolley, the one from IKEA.
Yeah.
And then I moved to a spare bedroom's wardrobe. And then even that's not enough. Now some of them went to your wardrobe. I mean, your study room wardrobe.
Yes, they fill up that wardrobe and a corner of the floor space.
I have weapon drawers, which has got fake weapons and shields and stuff. I've got the wig drawers. I've got the hat drawers. I've got other bits and pieces.
Yep, puppet drawer.
Puppet drawers. And now I started getting costumes for Tarrant. Once Tarrant started appearing in my short and sweet videos, well, since last year or something like that.
Occasionally.
No longer a special cameo. It's like a regular now. Still special though. So we are now going to talk about the games. Before we get to the game, one more thing, we will publish video for the party games of 2024. So the party games you can get in 2024 for those who don't usually play board games. Very excited because recently we actually asked my friend, which is Brandon actually, to come to our board game meetup and then play board games. He doesn't usually play board games, though he does play video games and started to play Board Game Arena for Sushi Go. And he arrived. He came to our board game night. And that is my inspiration for doing the video of party games for non-board gamers. I would say party games, like board games for non-board gamers. All right, we get into the game now. All right, Tarrant, you go first. It's time, Tarrant, to talk more now.
Yes, so my number 5 for August is a new prototype which we've come by. It's called Railroad Tiles. It's by Horrible Guild, and it is a non-roll and write spiritual successor to Railroad Inc. So
it's horribly good, right? To you.
It has that very similar vibe. You're building up tiles which look a lot like what you're drawing in Railroad Inc. In that they are roads and rails in different combinations with stations that interconnect them. And then in this one, it's a drafting with turn order game, so you can draft something weaker to get a better place in the next round's turn order, which I always like that. It's always one of my favourite mechanisms. In this case, it's not the strongest version of that because you can't see what's coming, so it's not super strategic. So you do at least get a benefit for going earlier in this one. And then as you build up your network, you're also trying to put cars and trains and people on them. And as you get more of them into the same connected space, as you score points. So, tile placement, very in these days. This is a nice light to medium weight complexity. It's probably Cascadia complexity or maybe a shade less. And it's got some nice fun things you're doing. So yeah, decent little game.
If you enjoy Railroad ink and you'll be like, oh, what else can they bring up beside the red, blue, green,
yellow,
thank you.
Purple. Purple.
I don't know, there are some expansions as well. And now it's actually the other way around. Some games would do the tiles or the board games and then the roll and write. And this is the flip side.
Yes.
The roll and write and then this is a fun game. It is a little specially rotaty-y thingy, and we definitely capture the railroad ink things like the punishment at the end of the game if you can't close up the loop on your rail or roads. It's very similar, very fun, and this is coming to Kickstarter, so watch out for that. So this is kind of like the follow-up month. So you saw railroad tiles. It's kind of like looking familiar. It's actually more than 3, as I said earlier. This one is my 5th Beyond the Horizon, and this is like Beyond the Sun, almost like spiritual successor, but different feel and different company.
Yes.
So this is where you build your tech track and you race through getting to the next stage of technology to gain the bonus and to pick what worker placement space that is available for everyone. But everyone needs to research first to get to that.
Yes. Yeah, very much like Beyond the Sun, you have that series of basic actions and then you slowly level your way up to more powerful actions. Really what's different here is the map play. Instead of having kind of a area control thing going on that sets your incomes, it's now a race for bonuses and it's kind of you explore them.
Very satisfying game, researching the tech track, and on your board is a good personal puzzle as well where which one, there are 3 types of tracks and you can upgrade one of these 3 tracks whenever you put a cube out. You can upgrade to get more worker placement-ish things, or you can get income, or you can upgrade your technology, and you have asymmetric power which is upgradable, that's great. So I really enjoyed this, probably more than Beyond the Sun because it's less aggressive. It's more Euro feeling. And I believe this is an Essen Spiel release. Anyway, we have the videos relevant to any of these games. I'll link down below in the description so you can check it out if you are interested, if we do have it. I might edit later as we release the videos. Again, something that is familiar but different, Everel Duo. So this is the 1 or 2 player version and it plays cooperatively or competitively. And the competitive version is really brutal. So you can stop your opponent from playing cards or the worker placement meeple critter space in that round. So really good, really capture Everel well. And the cooperative as well, which you go through mission scenarios to gain the goal and then trying to play against the smelly skunk.
Yes, so this is your number 4.
Yes.
And it is, because we're about 6 or 7 years on from the original Everel now. So this is it's a different viewpoint on it, and it is fairly focused on 2 players. And it has that cut and thrust that 2-player games will tend to have. You make a choice that can directly impact your opponent's choices or make their life harder. And that's what you really want out of a 2-player game.
And this is a small box, and so the F3 is gone. There is a card, the F3, and this is like, well, it's kind of like slightly prototype version. At the time of filming, they are still doing Kickstarter for Idel Duo, but this is pretty finished. That's it. That's my number 4. Really fun game, captured Everel, and 2-player is fun and brutal.
All right, so my number 4 for the month and your number 3 for the month is the Anarchy.
Ooh, the sequel to Hadrian's Wall.
Yes, we're very much still in that spiritual successor mode. This is Bobby Hill's follow-up to Hadrian's Wall. It is in the same style in that it is a big pen and paper game with a huge grid where you're trying to combo as many actions together as possible.
Chaining, yeah. Because we need more options. I mean, 200 boxes ain't enough. We need 500 now. Nowadays, the Anarchy.
So I know that Bobby describes this as a much more difficult follow-up to Hadrian's Wall.
We did play with him at Wellicon
Yep.
earlier this year.
Yeah, and you can see it's a much more, everything is more interlinked.
Yeah, interlinked, yes.
Yeah, in Hadrian's Wall, I think you dealt with the threat and then you advanced on the tracks, and the tracks were their own points. Here, you're advancing on the tracks to support the event because you have to work a lot harder to defend your castle.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah. Other than that, it's got a very similar style of play, and it has a campaign within it as well. So you can...
The solo one.
Yes, you have to go out and attack enemy castles throughout the game. And there's a whole big deck of cards you can play in many combinations to give you different difficulties and flavors of castles.
Very satisfying, but you have to really watch out on what you unlock because certain things have got requirements on the other sheet, and just want to keep an eye on that. And as Tarrant said, it's really hard to beat the threats because every time you get dealt, or you can see to a certain point what you're going to have to handle, but then there are some that are face down, the cards, unless you have the spies, or Tarrant the spy in my short and sweet video. Snarky. So yeah, that is the Anarchy. Very good, very thick pad, which is very satisfying. I still laminate mine, but very satisfying chaining combo game.
My number 3 game for the month is a party game called Captain Obvious, and it's a very clever little party game. Yes. Indeed, I like the cleverness of the game. It does something which I haven't seen before, and I don't think the cover of the box does it justice. Actually, you're given a word. You've kind of got a just one style card, and you end up picking a word, and everyone gets that word, and then you roll a die, which gives you a number between 5 and 8, and everyone has to write the most obvious sentence they can about that word or containing that word.
For example, what it says in the box here. The water is very wet.
Yes, and so then you hand your sentence to the next player, and the next player has to cross out one word and then read the sentence, and everyone else has to guess what the missing word was. So you're trying to write a sentence which is so obvious that everyone will know what it is, regardless of what word gets taken out of it. And that's why I say this example I don't think does it justice, because it's actually quite tricky and it's quite interesting trying to think of these sentences that are so robust. And points go to the person who crosses the word out if no one guesses it, or they go to the guesser and the person who wrote the obvious sentence if it is guessed.
Yeah,
and so,
very
fun.
fun.
I had a lot of fun with this one.
I know, we did as well. So even my friend who's non-board gamer, again, hello Brendan, played it and then did well. Better than me, actually. My number 2 is Andromedas Age. This is a spiritual successor, still in the same theme, of Dwellings of Eldervale. Now, this is an early review copy that we did a how to play video. Tarrant, you did very well. I'm very biased, but if you do want to learn this quickly and then go and see Tarrant.
Yeah, so this game it's a follow-up to Dwellings of Eldervale. It's probably 60% similar to Dwellings of Eldervale in that the way that you're placing workers or spaceships in this case out onto the hexes on the board, you create these little chains and you take the actions that are out there. What's different is when you retrieve your workers, you're doing it in a way to resolve a big tableau that you build. So that tableau building and activation element is really the new thing here.
I'm glad you get the hint when I say, listen to Tarrant's tutorial, and then you started explaining. Yay! Thank you, Tarrant. It's a very satisfying chaining, putting your tableau together so that you get the best return, like literally return. When you return your worker, then you gain and activating these, and then you can combo it so that you can activate more and more things on your tableau by having certain resources. So when you're activating that thing first. So timing is quite important as well here, and then activating this as well. And some of them are end game points, and some are resource or like resource gathering and so on.
Yep. It still has a little battle mechanism, which is it's either the same or almost the same as Dwellings of Eldervale. And
Remember your dice roll?
yes, I had a wonderful dice roll, and I have to tell everyone the story like Rimmer with his risk book. Stella I had 2 measly dice, and Stella had 6.
Mm-hmm.
I had no targeting, and Stella had 5. That I think that is new actually. When you've got a lot of ships in a battle, you re-roll all your dice that fall below your targeting value until they fall equal or above. So you had 6 dice, and you could roll them all until they were a 5 or more.
I was so confident.
And you rolled a 6 and 5 5s. I rolled a 6 and a 1. And then I played a 6 card on top of it and won the battle.
Yes.
Which was critical to my next play, and therefore critical to me losing by only like 10 points instead of 30.
Well, yes, I always enjoy trying to chain things together, trying to build things. Even when you put your worker there, spaceship, and you get to activate something, and you get to build building out there. You also get to upgrade your spaceships so that you can gain better actions, do better things as well. It's very satisfying, Andromedas Age. And this is number 2 though, and you would that's a great game. If you are familiar with Dwellings, or you have this is started to come from Kickstarter fulfillment, and you'd be like, if that's number 2, what's your number 1?
But you would have to wait, because it's my number 2 first, which is Skara Brae. And this is a new release from Garphill in the historical series, coming out with the Anarchy. And this is by Shem Phillips, this one.
No, you don't have to wait. This is my number 1. Let's just spill it out. So let's just get it out.
Yes.
You still have to wait for Tarrant's number 1 though.
Yeah, so this is it's a card drafting resource management. And it, like Railroad Tiles, has a little bit of that turn order management thing. So you're going to get a new card every turn, and the order you take your cards, or the order how you influence the turn order track, will impact the next set that you get. Then when you collect those, they'll give you resources. There's 16 different types of resources in the game, and then you use them to take actions on a personal tableau to try to build up as many points as you can.
This is a upcoming Kickstarter by Garphill Games as part of Ancient Anthologies series with the Anarchy. And that resource management is such a twist in resource management. You can store as much as you want, but then you get the penalties if you do, and you have to manage it well. And the card draft, I really love that as well, because the more you have that type of card, the more resources you get. But then you have to manage with feeding your people, and not to mention there are other competing priorities to the draft. Very good game. Very, very, very enjoy this.
Yeah, as you say, it's an interesting resource management puzzle, and the more stuff you hold, the more waste you'll generate and the more points you will lose at the end. So you need to try to keep efficient, but then when you get big animals and you turn them into food, they produce a bunch of extra bones and stuff like that. So it's a lot of the game is fairly individual other than that draft, and you're trying to be efficient with the way you build things up, but it is a very nice puzzle, very clever.
You
game.
enjoy it, although a lot of puzzle or kind of like multiplayer solitaire, yet you enjoy it.
I do like the draft. I like the competitiveness of the draft. It is tight enough, and there's always enough cards that you just want that bit more to make it quite competitive.
Yep.
Which finally brings us down to my number 1, which we've seen before, Everel Duo. So I'm a sucker for a game which does a really good job of taking a quality game and making it a little bit more attacky, a little bit more aggressive in a 2-player mode.
He does.
And Everel Duo hits that really well.
I'm the victim.
Or I'm the victim. We can both be the victim.
Yeah.
The real thing to watch out for here is that you get 12 in the competitive mode, you'll get 6 actions each per season. And when you place a worker, you advance the sun marker across the track. And when you play a card, you advance the moon marker. And once both of them have moved 6 spaces, the round is over. But when one of them has moved 6 spaces, you can't take that type of action anymore. And there's an all-purpose action which lets you move either type. So if you just want to stop the other player from taking certain actions, you take that all-purpose action and race it across the board. So you need to think really carefully about the timing of that, and the placement of those positions as they move across the meadow is important as well, because you can only play a card out of the meadow if it's next to one of those. It simplifies the critter construction occupied token thing. Now, instead of just getting an automatic addition if it's a pair, you have to collect an occupied token, and then you can use it on any matching colour of critter and construction, rather than having, the twig barge only goes with the barge toad and stuff like that. There's still a barge toad. He's still useless. Still not worth
You
very
don't
much
like it. Did you take it last time? Last game?
I don't know. I want to see the barge toad get a game of his own.
It's a barge toad. What do you expect?
He can
A
be
game
on a
of
barge
its own?
I want him to have his own game. He's like the most underappreciated, especially by me, character in Everdell. And I reckon like a canal boating game starring barge toad where you collect twigs.
It's like a spin out from TV series or movies, like spin out to here, and then maybe the barge toad would be a spin out, and then the barge would also be the spin out from the barge toad game. Spin out a spin out.
The other thing I find that I quite like about this is there seem to be a lot more cards where you can activate other cards and really work points generation. I never got that feeling so much with basic Everdell, but I found I was constantly looking for cards that would get me other points in Duo, and I really enjoyed that. I felt it added this great urgency to the game.
And easily take for travelling game and then play the cooperative as well, or competitive.
I mean, we could bring the complete Everdell collection and use it as our suitcase.
You carrying that. Those are our games. Everyone, what are your highlights for this month? Let us know. Share in the comments. And also, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I will answer it. Hopefully, it's something that I can answer in next month's vlog. Until then, have a great day and see you next time. Bye.